He found that if any doubt arose in his mind, it was cleared by merely listening to Bhagavan's answers to others' questions. He rarely had to ask a question himself. The day in Skandashram used to begin at 4 in the morning. Bhagavan's mother would get up and sing devotional songs. At 5, Bhagavan would come out and all devotees would sing Akshara Manamalai. Either Sama Tata would cook or Echamal would bring food. At 8, everybody would eat. The rest of the time was spent meditating, reading Ribhu Gita or the Kaivalya Navanitam. Bhagavan would remain mostly in silence. Kunju Swami has told me some interesting facts about Bhagavan. According to him, Bhagavan never lay flat or on his side. He always reclined. Bhagavan was also very frugal. Tooth powder was made every day and put into a packet for Bhagavan and given to him in the morning. If Bhagavan found that there was a little more than he needed, he would put it back in the same packet and expect it to be given to him the next day. Kunju Swami said that Bhagavan's frugality continued even while bathing. Bhagavan used to take a little oil, put it in his palm, add hot water to make a paste of it, and then rub it all over his body. Since he could not reach his back, Kunju Swami would oil it for him. At Skandashram, there is a little platform facing Tiruvannamalai town. There was only a stone at that time. Bhagavan would sit on it and brush his teeth. It used to be very cold, and Bhagavan wore only a loin cloth. Kunju Swami felt that he should not sit there in the early morning cold, yet Bhagavan continued to do so. He found the reason for this only later. There was a lady called Saubhagyamma who used to come to Skandashram every day. She had become old but had taken a vow that she would not cook, eat or even bathe without having Bhagavan's darshan first. She did not come one day and Bhagavan asked her, "Why did you not come yesterday?" She replied, "Bhagavan, I had the great fortune of having your darshan from my house. When you were seated outside on the stone slab, I could see you. From that day onwards, whether it was raining or cold, Bhagavan sat on that rock so that Saubhagyamma could have his daily darshan." Every single day was a holy day at Skandashram. Bhagavan introduced Kunju Swami to Kavya Kantha Ganapati Muni. Kunju Swami actually witnessed Kavya Kantha's Kapala Bheda. A hot vapor emanated from Kavya Kantha's head and he placed Kunju Swami's hand there. He found it very hot. Kavya Kantha, in order to alleviate the discomfiture caused by this intense heat, took Bhagavan's hand and placed it on his head. This made him feel the coolness, thus relieving him of the pain and discomfort. Later, in reference to this incident, Bhagavan told Kunju Swami, "He has told us about this experience, but who could I have told?" Then someone asked, "Bhagavan, did you also have this experience?" Bhagavan just grunted, neither accepting but nor denying the fact. Nayana described Bhagavan's spiritual status to Kunju Swami as being that of Sahaja Nishtha. He explained that according to the scriptures, all spiritual seekers eventually grew from either power or peace. Many sages like Meera, Adi Shankara and Swami Vivekananda developed power and not able to contain themselves, ecstatically expressed it through their songs and speeches. Bhagavan, on the other hand, was one who was rooted in peace and refused to move even a little from Arunachala, and that is the mark of Sahaja Nishtha, to remain as one is. That is why K.K. Nambyar, an old devotee, called Bhagavan Malayai Mulungi, one who swallowed a mountain. During this time, there lived a sage in Kerala called Narayana Guru, who was so renowned that even Mahatma Gandhi thought it a privilege to spend a few moments with him. This sage rarely went anywhere. In fact, other saints came to him to pay their respects. Yet, he visited Bhagavan at Skandashram along with his disciples. Bhagavan spoke in Malayalam, cordially received him and invited him to share lunch. Narayana Guru replied gladly in Tamil, "Oh yes, we will share the Maharshi's prasad." Bhagavan then bestowed his glance of grace and for a long time they both sat sharing an ecstatic silence. When it was time for him to leave, Narayana Guru, looking at Bhagavan's state of Sahaja Samadhi, said in Malayalam, "Let it be so." This statement was interpreted as a prayer for Sahaja Nishtha. But according to Narayana Guru's devotees and his works, he was already in that state. Right there, Narayana Guru wrote 5 verses in Sanskrit called Nivritti Panchakam, extolling the state of Sahaja Nishtha. On descending the hill, along with his disciples, Narayana Guru was in ecstasy. He turned to his disciples and declared joyfully, "The Maharshi is a Raja Sarpam, a king cobra." In Hindu religious and spiritual parlance, saints are often referred to as Sarpams or cobras. Narayana Guru, a saint himself, did not categorize Bhagavan as yet another cobra. Instead, he gave Bhagavan the exalted status of a king cobra. This truth emanated from his heart. He summoned two of his disciples, one a wealthy man, the other an erudite scholar, and said these beautiful words. Bhagavan's spiritual state is such that even a single glance from him is enough to liberate anyone. Now he remains unknown to the world, like a lamp hidden in a pot. He should be recognized so that this spiritual treasure is plundered by many seekers. Both of you should stay here for 6 months and make necessary arrangements for food and accommodation for visiting pilgrims, thus letting many visit the Maharshi every day and benefit spiritually. Allow Maharshi's awakening to be known in the circles of scholars and earnest seekers by going to them and speaking about the awakening. So captivated by Bhagavan was he that when he went back to Kerala, he wrote another 5 verses called Municharya Panchakam. On his return, Narayana Guru fell ill. Coming to know of it, Bhagavan sent Kunju Swami with a lemon, saying, "Go and give this to him." Narayana Guru received it and reverentially put it on his eyes, head and chest. He was in tears that Bhagavan had sent this prasad for him. Whenever he had a visitor from Tamil Nadu, he would ask, "Have you had Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi's darshan?" If the answer was no, he would raise his voice and say, "Why did you come here? You must go back and have darshan there." Knowing that Narayana Guru was to attain Mahasamadhi, Bhagavan also instructed Kunju Swami about how Narayana Guru's body should be preserved. Narayana Guru was a jnani, a realized saint, and Bhagavan wanted his tomb to be built accordingly. Kunju Swami was to give Bhagavan a report on whether the tomb was built satisfactorily. Later, when the news of Narayana Guru's passing away reached Bhagavan, he said, "Narayana Guru is Purna Purusha, a fully blossomed one." Kunju Swami said that Bhagavan was very natural and spontaneous with him. Many a time, Bhagavan would go into samadhi, from which it was difficult to bring him out. When this happened, 3 or 4 people would blow conchs in Bhagavan's ears, until after a long time, Bhagavan emerged from his samadhi. This practice continued until some time after Bhagavan moved to Ramanashram. The scriptures state that there are 2 means of influencing the mind, by blowing a conch and by ringing a bell. The conch brings out the subdued mind. This can even be tried on people with insanity to bring their minds back to a state of normalcy. The ringing of a bell turns the mind inwards. This is why temples and churches have bells. It is not merely a ritual, but a method to calm and turn the mind inwards. When Bhagavan's mother passed away, Kunju Swami and others brought the body down to the present Ramanashram. Where mother's body was buried, a thatched shed was erected and Bhagavan's brother Niranjanananda Swami and Dandapani Swami stayed there. Sometimes they would get together ingredients for dosas and send word to Kunju Swami to stay over and eat dosas with them the next morning. Such fresh preparations were considered a luxury in Skandashram. They would send some for Bhagavan as well. Kunju Swami would wake up early, join them and begin to wash the vessels. One day, a person wrapped in a cloth stood behind him and asked, "Is there any food for a guest?" Kunju Swami turned around and saw that it was none other than Bhagavan, joking with him. Kunju Swami replied respectfully, "Bhagavan, you have come at the right time. We are making dosas. Please stay here." There was another lady who began her daily routine only after Bhagavan's darshan. When she came to know that Bhagavan had come to the present Ramanashram, which was only a thatched shed at that time, she insisted, "Stay here, I want to cook for you and feed you." Bhagavan complied. The next day, somebody else said, "We want to give you bhiksha," which means a feast in Sanskrit. It was customary for the persons who gave the bhiksha to request Bhagavan to go around the hill with them. Bhagavan used to walk slowly and therefore it took the entire night to go around the hill. Soon people started asking him to stay at the present Ramanashram. Once, when people had offered bhiksha on 5 consecutive days, Kunju Swami tried to stop the next person because Bhagavan had already gone for Giri Padakshina for 5 consecutive nights. Bhagavan looked at him sternly to indicate that he must not tell anyone that he had been without sleep for 5 nights.
Finally, when 7 days had passed, Kunju Swami could bear it any longer. He went to Bhagavan and protested, Bhagavan, you have not slept at all. Don't you need rest? Why do you prevent me from stopping these people? Bhagavan looked at him graciously and said, what is sleep? Sleep is only to give rest to the mind. Only if the mind exists do you need to give it rest. Where is the mind? Of course, I understand that if the eyelids are open for 24 hours at a stretch, they get strained and the eyes will ache. If one remains with eyes closed for some time, this too is taken care of. Therefore, where is the problem? After Bhagavan came down to the mother's samadhi, the devotees from the town continued to give him bhiksha. Kunju Swami and Ramakrishna Swami, who were assigned to guard Skandashram, began to wail Bhagavan's long absence. We came here for Bhagavan, not just to guard a building up on the hill, they thought sullenly. They would therefore sneak down the hill to be with Bhagavan. Noticing this, Bhagavan once said, let us all go around the hill. After going around the hill,